What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon, and I think we are due for a roster reset. By which I mean now that we've gotten to basically the end of free agency, although it's not necessarily completely over there, and we've gotten past the draft and we've gotten past UDFA, it's time to take a step back and see how this roster looks going into the slow part of the offseason. Because we're almost to May, and May, not a lot's going to happen in all likelihood. June, maybe we're going to start to see things warm up a little bit, but it's still going to be slow. July, maybe start to get some stuff going. We're going to get some OTAs. We're going to get some camps. We're going to get assorted information from there, maybe, but it's going to slow down for a little bit here. But I want to take a look at the state of the roster for the 2024 Seattle Seahawks as of right after the draft, the day after the draft ended and UDFA basically closed because we signed 16 guys, I think. I don't think we're going to sign more than that. I don't even know if we can. I don't think we have room for it. But I wanted to take a look at the roster as I see it right now. So we're going to go position by position. We're going to talk it through a little bit where it needs to be talked about and see where things stack up. So let's start with the quarterback. Got Geno Smith starting and Sam Howell backing him up. The only other quarterback who is on the team right now that I know of is the San Jose State UDFA Cordero. Now, I don't think Cordero is going to make the 53-man, of course. And honestly, I don't think he's going to make the practice squad. I think what will happen is that at some point the Seahawks will bring in a more qualified quarterback. I don't know exactly who it could be, but somebody who at least has a somewhat viable chance to succeed in the NFL, unless Cordejo really impresses in camp and I guess you could say the preseason, since he'll probably have a chance to play a little there. But I think there's a very good chance we end up bringing in somebody else, and Cordejo ends up as one of the cuts. As of right now, I don't have any quarterback cuts because those are the only three we have, but I don't think Cordejo is going to be the guy unless he impresses like crazy at camp. Okay, running back, I've got Walker, Charbonnet, McIntosh, and then I do have Holani making as the fourth running back. We seem to like him a lot, and we gave him non-trivial amounts of money. And fourth running back is a position you can throw to a UDFA rookie and feel okay about. So I think he latches on there. The North Dakota State running back, we got T. Williams. I have him on the practice squad. Although I do suspect, again, we're going to bring in somebody else there. Last year, I think we had a Sir Roderick Thompson, what I believe was his name. I think we might go get somebody like that. Somebody who we're a little bit higher on, somebody with a little bit more of a floor. But it is a fifth string running back at the end of the day, so you could just toss it to a UDFA guy like Williams. So I've got him at the moment making the practice squad because there's nobody else on the roster who could potentially do it. And I've got no cuts because there's nobody else on the roster that I know of. Okay, wide receiver, and I did wide receiver in three different columns, which I know is a little bit confusing, but I didn't want to have six guys in a stack because it makes the whole sheet look ugly. I did DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and JSN as the top three. I think there's nothing to discuss there. And then backing them up, I had Bobo, who's the one guy who I'm really confident will make the 53-man. And then I had Derek Young and Laviska Shenault. And I could see this going a couple different ways. Like you've got Aesop Winston, I currently have on the practice squad. Maybe he gets a nod over somebody like Derek Young or Shenault. You've got Hatton, the Idaho guy that a lot of people are kind of into. He's definitely interesting. And I could see him maybe sneaking on over somebody like a Derek Young. Derek Young did miss most of last season. He's falling behind a little bit here. And even somebody like and I ended up putting him on the cut list, D. Eskridge or Cody White, for all we know, could creep on there. So I could see those two spots going to assorted people. For the purposes of this roster, I decided to go with my gut, Derek Young and Shenault, but could go many different ways there. And I'm not too worried about getting caught up in the finer points of who your fifth string and sixth string receiver are. I mean, we're going to have a new set of eyes on those guys, right? We have a new OC, we have a new receivers coach. it's really hard to know how they're going to think anyway. Okay, so that's receiver. Tight end, Noah Fant, Pharaoh Brown, and AJ Barner are your top three. I have Westover making the practice squad, which means I have Brian Russ. Excuse me. Yeah, I think it's Brian Russell and Tyler Mabry on the cut list. I don't think either of them make it. Mabry was kind of a Pete guy, and he got a futures deal last year, but there's not going to be much holding him to this team anymore. And a guy like Westover is probably a little more exciting because he's much younger and worked with Grubb in college. So pretty self-explanatory there. Left tackle, I did Cross and Forsyth backing him up. And then I had Gerald making the practice squad. We clearly like him, probably a little more than we should. So I imagine that we try to at least keep him around in some capacity. And that's all I had at the left tackle spot, at least for the purposes of this spreadsheet. Left guard, and here's the thing. We have three right guards that are going to make this roster in 2024. One of them probably moves to the left. I don't know who it's going to be. I have no idea. I just put Bradford here for the sake of needing to put somebody, but it could be any of the three, and I wouldn't be shocked. But I put Bradford at left guard with Lakin Tomlinson backing him up. Nobody on the practice squad there, and nobody on the cut list. Center, I have Oluwatimi starting, Nick Harris backing him up, and then I have nobody on the practice squad, and I have Novitsky, or Novitsky, or however you pronounce it. I'm going to go with Novitsky because that's the most fun. On the cut list, right guard, I go Christian Haynes, of course, and then behind him I have Lumia, the sixth round pick we had. Again, one of these two may end up at left guard instead of Bradford. I don't know exactly how we're going to play it out. It would require knowledge that I don't have access to, right? We'll probably find out from the team in the coming months. They'll probably at some point make it clear what they're thinking, but I just picked one at random. I have Ankrum Jr. making the practice squad. I don't have room for him on the roster anymore. He is a little bit of a veteran, but he's played so little, I think he'd be fine with being on the practice squad. So I do think he sticks around in that capacity, and that's all I had there. Right tackle, finishing out the offensive line, I got Abe Lucas starting, George Fant as his backup. By the way, Lucas got a positive medical update the other day, so looks like he's ready to go or should be ready to go for the season. And then I had Garrett Greenfield on the practice squad, which, admittedly, that's going to be a little bit tough. He was a coveted UDFA. It might be hard to sneak him onto the practice squad, but unless you want to, the only other thing you could do, and I'm not ruling this out, you could cut Stone Forsyth because he doesn't fit your new offensive scheme, and then just have Greenfield be your backup left tackle. That's possible. If you feel like Greenfield is a better scheme fit, you could put him at a left tackle spot for the time being. I don't think it's perfect, but you could do it, and it might be better. Forsyth isn't especially mobile, so maybe you stick Forsyth on the cut list, and you just say Greenfield is the guy. Or maybe you try to sneak Forsyth on the practice squad, and if he gets snatched, then oh well, you go get somebody else. But I think we are going to try to keep Greenfield around. Maybe we have to put him on the 53-man to do it, but one way or the other. And that's actually it for the right tackle spot. And I think, yeah, that's it for the offense because we already did receiver when I did it with Metcalf and Chenault. So that is what I have going on offensively. Again, don't get too caught up in the nitty-gritty of this stuff. I just made some educated guesses. But let's jump over to the defensive side. So my defensive line or defensive end position, again, I spread it out across two columns. Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, Draymond Jones, for the moment, still on the team. And there wasn't any... There didn't seem to be urgency to trade him during the draft. So at this point, I'm going to leave him there until I hear otherwise from the team. And then I have Mike Morris at your other defensive end spot for a backup. Miles Adams on the practice squad. He usually ends up on the practice squad when the season starts and gets promoted at some point. And then I have a couple of our UDFA rookies making the cut list here, Williams and Levelston. And then at nose tackle, I have Jaron Reed. Jaron Reed, by the way, stealth candidate for a cut because he might not fit the size requirements that Mike McDonald has for some of his defenders, it seems like. But I don't know. He's cheap and he's still a pretty good player. I'd prefer not to, but don't sleep on it. Cam Young, Jonathan Hankins. So three nose tackles, nobody on the practice squad, and Matt Gotel, who got a futures contract last year, gets cut. Let's see here. Outside linebacker, I spread that out again. So this is edge rusher for our purposes, right? This is the pass rushers from the edge. You've got Uchenna Nwosu, you've got Boye Mafe starting, you've got Derek Hall, and for the moment I have Darrell Taylor here. Keep an eye out for Darrell Taylor maybe getting let go in the coming days, or maybe even, I don't know, traded. I don't think there's any value there, but um the monetarily, we just need a little bit of a push in the right direction. And I have Nelson Caesar as the practice squad edge player. I think there's going to be some motivation to want to keep him around. And don't be shocked if we let Taylor go and let Caesar take his place to make sure we keep Caesar while saving the 3 mil on Taylor. And then I had Anderson and Onugiogu as the cuts. Anderson's one of our UDFA rookies, and Onugiogu's been here for a couple years. And I also had Levi Bell actually as one of the cuts. I do wonder if Taylor gets let go, Caesar gets put on the active roster, maybe we get Levi Bell makes the practice squad, but that would require the Darrell Taylor domino to fall. If it doesn't fall, then I think Levi Bell, there's just no room for him right now. I don't know if a player like Levi Bell would be something that Mike McDonald's really into anyway. It depends on where you play him, I guess. Inside linebacker, Jerome Baker, Tyrell Dodson starting, Tyrese Knight, and John Radigan backing him up. Look for Radigan to get let go in the coming days to save the $3 million. And then on the practice squad, I have Patrick O'Connell and Easton Gibbs, the Wyoming UDFA rookie we signed yesterday. And then I have Beasley, one of our rookie UDFAs from Tennessee, as getting cut. So if Radigan gets cut, which I think is likely unless we can bring him back on a minimum deal, which would be probably preferable because Radigan's better than these guys, I think, and we trust him more. Maybe O'Connell gets bumped up because he was on the team last year. There might be a little bit of familiarity there that he could lean on to get called up to the 53 man as the fourth linebacker. But yeah, that's what I have right now. Cornerback. We got a couple of cornerback rows here. Witherspoon and Woolen look like they're going to be starting for the time being. We got Mike Jackson on the tender, which could be withdrawn, by the way, to save about $3 million, and Trey Brown. And then I've got the two rookies, James and Pritchett, which means I've got Torrance, one of our UDFA rookies, and Carlton Johnson, another one, on the practice squad, as well as Artie Burns. And Artie Burns is a veteran. He might not want to hang on the practice squad, so maybe you let him go and bring on somebody else. But either way, with us taking two cornerbacks during the draft, I don't think there's room for Burns on this 53-man anymore. And then for cuts in the cornerback position, I had D. Williams. I think he was a Tennessee kick returner and cornerback, just no room for him. And then at strong safety, I had Love and Kayvon Wallace, with Okada on the practice squad, UDFA safety from last year. And then I had Sutherland on the cut list. Free safety, I went Jenkins. And then I put Kobe Bryant here because I don't think we're going to let Kobe go yet, but we can't fit him at corner anymore. We have too many corners. So unless something happens at corner, like we withdraw the tender on Jackson, or maybe we let Trey Brown go because he's not a good tackler and doesn't really fit McDonald's formula, then I think Kobe just kind of has to get moved to safety by default because where else is he going to fit in here? And then I have Jarek Reed II starting the season on the injured list here, so he's not going to count against the roster. They've already basically said they don't expect him to be ready for the start of the season. And that's it for the defense. And then I had Myers, Dixon, and Stoll as our special teamers. And if you add it all up, I've got 53 roster spots filled with these guys. I've got 16 practice squad spots filled. So both of those are maxed out with this chart. And then I have 14 of the 21 cuts from the 90-man roster that we're going to start from. So what's probably going to happen is some of the guys we gave a rookie invite to are going to get some kind of an offer to hang out with the team during the offseason, and then they won't make the team. They'll just hang around for the preseason and training camp and stuff. All right, So that's where I see things going right now. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think it's going to shake out differently. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks.